Hello all, my name is Jack. So as Philip had mentioned, I will be focusing more on the public right-of-ways. So right now you can see that 30% of all rainwater is landing on public right-of-ways, but nearly 100% of that rainwater comes through the public right-of-ways, through the combined sewer system. So how are we going to deal with that? So we're looking at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And one of the strengths of our right-of-ways is that they're very wide. So what can we do about this? We have this presence of springs, which is currently flushing out our combined sewer system. And we located those in these areas. And then we also have these high points throughout this Potrero Hill, and showing where that water is moving off of the hill. Some weaknesses that we've noticed is that this combined sewer system is overflowing. So water is coming off of Potrero Hill, goes down into the dog patch, and it's creating these bottlenecks where this water is coming up and surfacing. We're also experiencing some leakage from the sewer mains, and that's also leading to contamination of the groundwater. And then we have this area of serpentine soils located in dog patch where water is not percolating back down into the groundwater. So some opportunities that we explored was using water as art. The first example on the left is in Portland, Oregon, creating these swales, retention areas for water, and then also looking at how we can create downspouts off of roofs and creating streetscapes. So another area that we looked at was the retention and detention of water, as Philip had mentioned with the water square. How can we use these to detain the water, to make these storm systems not as big as they are, and then release that water slowly back into the system. And then also harnessing some energy production through that water using the sewer, combined sewer mains. So one of the biggest threats is flooding. This is a real extreme image of flooding, but it's kind of eye-opening to see. This is that 25 feet that Spencer was talking about earlier and what it would look like at AT&T Park. And then land subsidence from earthquakes. So then I'll move into the prototypes. So this first one is a surface swale. And a surface swale collects the water at a low point, then filters the water out, gets all the harmful pollutants out, and then cleans the water to recharge the ground system, or groundwater system. This is an example here in California. You can see that the water is being collected off the streetscapes and then funneled down into the middle. The water is cleaned, recharged, and then it would be pushed back out into the bay. And this is kind of what a prototype would look like of that. Water would be collected up on top, shot down below, cleaned through these different swales in the middle of the street and on the sidewalk. And areas that I located which were suitable for this was pretty much the wider streets of Dog Patch in the Green Benefit District. So this is that typical profile of what that road looks like right now. Another area we looked at was the floodable streets and then the underground garages. So this is a precedent from the Netherlands where they're collecting their rainwater from the combined sewer, putting it in this area as a detention area, and then releasing it back out into the combined sewer after that storm event is gone. So this is what it would look like, just this area underneath. Cars would be able to drive underneath and park during the summer months, during the drought. And then once it was the rainy season, it would be closed down, and then it would be, the water would be down into that detainable area. So areas that I located for this were also the same areas as the one before. Wider streets, allow more parking, busier areas. So those were the suitable streets. And then finally we have water as art. The first example is located pretty close to San Francisco. It's one of those swales collecting water off the roadways. And then the one on the right is Growing Vine Street in Seattle. You can see this downspout. It's collecting water off of the building, shooting it down, adding an aesthetically pleasing experience for the roadway, while also benefiting the water supply. And this is what a streetscape would look like. You can see plants. They're helping filtrate the water, getting those pollutants out, and then bringing them back down into the culvert. So areas that we located for this was pretty much every other street that we didn't locate for the other two. It doesn't take much space to put these in, only a few feet, and they're very very reliable. Oh, I have one more. Okay, floating streets. So talking about the Polder Park and with the super levee, looking at SR 520, how it uses the water displacement to float across that waterway. This is kind of what that area could look like inside the Polder Park if it was developed, allowing a few streets to go out to the houses, which would help the cars get back and forth from the water to the land. And this is kind of what that would look like, kind of the same idea of the garage, but it's the cells of air helping displace that. The water level would be up to here, and that would just float right across the water. And locating areas that were suitable for that would be anywhere there would be water inside of that super levee. So next up we have Victor to also talk about the streetscapes.
Coffee.
Hello everyone, I'm Victor, and as Jack was explaining about how water retention works about the streetscapes, I will also be introducing you water retention in canals and other variations for canals. So there are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for our side is that for strengths is that there are wide arrays to propose water management interventions, and also there's relatively fat areas in certain locations to propose these ideas. But there are some weaknesses to it, and most of the weaknesses that are there's a lot of hardscape, and there's a lot of localized flooding, and then also there is a desirable through traffic, which if you were to propose some water retention through traffic, it wouldn't be feasible and would cause a lot of problems. But it also creates opportunities, and also one of the opportunities will be that it creates water features, as this for example is an urban canal, and it also creates groundwater recharge, and then also it could be used to alleviate flooding, and also it can use as water reuse and also have amphibious transportation. But there are some threats to it, and also one of the threats that we focused on is that it mostly has sewage backup due to rising sea level, and then there are more inland flooding due to intense rainfall. But there are some precedents, and one of the precedents is that we can use water retention as a work of art, and this is an example from the Cultural Park in the Netherlands, where they use the water retention feature as an interaction for kids or for people to interact with the water retention, and also use it as a storm water management feature. And so what I'll be introducing to you is a variation of a canal and also the Greenway plan. And so this is a solar system showing the mid to high yield places where it's suitable to create solar panel canals. And here are the benefits based off of the solar system, and right here it tells you the statistics of where the high yield, mid yield, and based off the population. There are strengths about proposing canals. I mean, solar panels in San Francisco, and a lot of it is there's a lot of sunshine, and then it's mid to high yield, and then also San Francisco supports solar energy, and they also propose that new buildings should have that are 10 floors or fewer to have solar panels. And also San Francisco was known as a solar American city by U.S. Department of Energy, which is go. But there are some weaknesses to it, and most of the number one weakness is fog. And there's a lot of fog in San Francisco, precipitation. But it also creates opportunities, and one of the opportunities is a healthy environment. There's also helps the environmental friendly future, and then also it allows consumers to have control over their electricity sources.
Can you just define solar canal? I'm not catching that.
I will be. Okay. So, but there are some threats to it, and then one of the threats are storm events. One of the precedents is one project in India where they propose solar canals to help to help save their water because they're also in drought. And what solar panel does on a canal is that it helps from evaporation. And a statistic that I read is that you save more energy on water than on land, which is 7 to 15%. And also it helps save 2 trillion liters of water from evaporation. And here's a close-up of the solar array canal, and as you can see, there's a water retention, and then most of these two on the sides are wetlands where water fills up, and then once it's fully overflowing, all that water goes into the water retention. And the solar array canal is made of glass, so people who are walking by or driving by can see what's inside, and then also it looks as an aesthetically pleasing environment for them. And I will show you the Greenway plan that they proposed in 2011. Based off for the Greenway plan is that they wanted to think the bicycle pathways along the coastline, also through Illinois Street. And what their goal was is that they wanted to balance the needs of all street users and reflect the understanding that the pedestrian environment is more than just transportation. And here are some proposals for 4-lane traffic if you wanted to have a solar canal combined with the Greenway plan. And so what's existing on Terra Frontoria cross section is that there are four lanes and then bike paths and then parallel parking. But what they planned was to add a buffer between the bike paths and the car lanes, so it has separation and not have any interference. And what we propose is having a solar array canal, having a divided road where the solar canal separates oncoming and other car traffic on the other side, and also have a buffer zone for bike paths. And here are proposals for a 2-lane traffic where, on Illinois Street, where they have 2 existing oncoming and incoming traffic and parallel parking. But what they wanted to be installed in 2011 is that they wanted to have incoming, oncoming, and then have 2 bike lanes, and then on the outside will be parallel parking. And then what we propose is have a solar array canal divide the incoming and oncoming traffic, as well as parallel parking to separate and use as a buffer zone for bike paths, so bikers will not have interaction with cars and have any accidents. And so here's another variation of a canal that I will present to you. And then the strengths of, as I mentioned, is that there are wide right-of-ways, and these are feasible for floating islands, which are wetlands, to propose these ideas. But the downside is that there's a lot of impermeable surfaces, and it's due to liquefaction zones. But there are some opportunities for these, is that also you can use amphibious vehicles. They could also have freshwater access, and new habitat species can be created upon these wetlands. But the threats are that there's a lot of inland floodings, coastal floodings, and also bigger storms.